up, Chris? It's me again. It's James Ayer. We're doing another episode of the Equity Accelerator podcast, and this is our weekly platform where we expound about how to run your real estate business, how to run your mortgage business better, how to think about buying real estate or making a mortgage decision better. We did a parenting conversation. What else have we done? We're talking about accelerating your equity in any facet of life. That's kind of, we keep it loose and we keep it open. And I'm super excited today because we're being joined by an associate of mine named Madison, Ayer.
Yes.
And he runs a company called Financial Wellness Team, and my company, Sierra Pacific Mortgage. I forgot if I've mentioned that or not in the beginning of this, but I am a mortgage lender based in Portland, Oregon. So if you're a first-time listener, that's kind of my perspective. But my mortgage company, the branch that I work for at Sierra Pacific Mortgage, is developing a beta partnership with Madison's company, the Financial Wellness Team, and I'm super excited about it. I've already, I don't know, I've been live for like 24 hours, and how many people have I referred into the system already? Like 9?
Yeah, they're stacking right up.
So, so let me see if I get this right. And Madison, I'm super glad you're here because I'm kind of just learning about it as we go. So I'd love to get really clear about exactly what people can expect when they get referred into the Financial Wellness Team. My understanding is that this is it's a service that I can plug my clients into. And it's a phone call coaching kind of conversation over time around budgeting, credit management, financial planning that's not investing. It's like the blocking and tackling basic financial planning for people who are thinking about buying a house and feel like, oh, I'm about a year away. What do I do to prepare? Now I have something that's really that they can sink their teeth into and get a plan in place to save more quickly, to improve their credit more quickly, to help them kind of make decisions around the preparation before they buy a house, but also once they do buy the house, how to integrate the mortgage into their budget. So this is not just before, but it's a service I can plug people into as kind of a thank you gift for and the beginning of our longer term relationship and helping you manage that mortgage over time with budgeting advice, with credit management advice and that kind of thing. So that's my current perspective on how this works. So Madison, let me turn you loose. What can clients expect as soon as I refer them to the Financial Wellness Team?
Absolutely. And it's important to start with a note that financial health is good for everybody, whether or not you're immediately trying to get a mortgage, whether you're trying to get a mortgage at all, whether you're trying to do something else. Always working on your financial health is one of the best things that you can do. The better your financial health leads to all sorts of other facets of your lifestyle and your happiness and whatever that are going to be better. And there's a lot of little things, like you said, the blocking and tackling, day-to-day stuff and week-to-week stuff of household finances and of personal finance. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of the little things that have become very important in the economy these days, but that these were never taught in high school. These were never taught in college. They're seemingly unimportant, or it seems like everyone should already just know about them intuitively, but we don't. Like, right. We're all normal people and we're busy, and it doesn't work like that. So we just don't know these things.
And I have a theory that marketing has become so powerful in the last 30 and 40 years in ways that people don't even recognize. The marketing of political ideas, the marketing of subscription services, and the idea that, oh, I have to have this, or I have, and it can just start adding up and really get away from you. But, you know, in so many ways, our minds have been hijacked, right? That's an aside.
Our minds have been hijacked. Our attention has been hijacked.
Indeed.
So what we focus on is just the basic stuff of the day-to-day and all of the little things that you might otherwise overlook, but that are really important and can really add a lot of benefit and a lot of value to your life. And so we focus on three basic pillars. One is your credit. You want to have great credit. Good credit is not enough. You want to keep working on it, and you want to understand the behaviors. You want to understand the tools that are out there, and you always want to be striving for great credit. It doesn't mean you will always have great credit, but that's what you want to strive for, because good credit isn't enough these days. The second one is debt. We live in a consumer debt economy. And 50 years or 75 years ago, that wasn't a thing. But now it is, and that's the bedrock of the economy. And I don't know exactly what the number is now, but the average household credit card debt is $9,000 or $10,000. And everything is this kind of debt, this unsecured debt, this financing just to sort of finance things and consumption of your everyday lives. Like you said, it's got control of everybody, and it's hard. It's very difficult to manage, and on a day-to-day basis, most of us don't understand how damaging that is over time to our financial health. And so that's the second pillar. And then the third pillar is just sort of looking at monthly, a group of activities around monthly cash flow. That includes budgeting, it includes saving, it includes looking at expenses and actively managing a lot of the expenses that you might not otherwise think about. Insurance, for example. Not a lot of people know that they should be sort of actively comparing and shopping their insurance at least once a year. And even people that know that might be a good idea don't really understand how to go about it. Like, what's the best way? How can you actually find, and what's insurance based on? How do you know if you're going to get better rates, and can you control any of that? And so within these three pillars, this is where a lot of the tips and the advice and some of the recommendations start to emerge, and you start adding them all together. And the average household, the average person like you or myself, we can start saving significantly over time, and
thousands of dollars a year.
Thousands of dollars a year, tens of thousands of dollars a year. It really does become significant. And for a lot of people, it can be, it can change your style of life for the better. And so it's really powerful.
Take me into some of the other pain points of this, right? Because I think a lot of us know that we have debt. We're like, debt, credit. But there's a cascading, there's a spilling over of impact that has, that I think sometimes we're removed from. We're disconnected from realizing the impact that the financial thing has on the rest of our life. And you must see this all the time. So what are some of the other cascading pains of that?
Well, the fundamental cascading pain is living paycheck to paycheck, which was something like, if they're being honest, something like 2/3 of us in this country live paycheck to paycheck these days. And that's a result of these three pillars in particular not being optimized or not even being managed well. If you have just good credit, good enough credit, if you have some debt, not to where you think it's a problem, but it's there, and you don't realize that you're paying 10% or 20% of your income every month just to servicing what we call unhealthy debt. Like that's sucking up a meaningful portion of your income every month. And then if you look at savings, what percentage of the population has any savings these days? Like infinitesimal amount. But savings is really important. Budgeting is an entire discussion of itself. And budgeting is interesting because it's really not that hard, and it's really not that scary, but very few people do it because they're terrified of it, because all it is our discipline. And so for most of us, what budgeting does is it exposes our naked lack of discipline. And we'd rather sort of live with a blindfold on and not succeed financially rather than just sort of address and be focused and develop that discipline. And so when all these things add up, what you get is this culture of living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Employment is at lows, but debt is at high, and paycheck to paycheck living is at all-time highs. And it's because these pillars aren't managed.
Not to drop a bomb on this joyful conversation about money, but I think also divorce is at a pretty all-time high. Like, you know, if you looked at like the number one reason or number two reason around divorce, I think communication and money are typically right up there for why people end up not being able to stay together. Like,
I think the financial component of our lives is a huge area of stress. Yeah. And it has a lot to do, like, I love that we're talking about it in the language of wellness, because I think our relationship to money is a similar pathway in our brain as a relationship to physical health and nutrition as well. And those habits develop early in life. And if you're from a family who puts a premium on planning, puts a premium on success, like, it's just that much easier for you to access that and to visualize that in your life. But if you're from a family that's paycheck to paycheck, there is a cycle that I'm sure develops. I've seen it in my clients, you know, around just like the relationship to money, they can get more uptight. And I want to go back to budgeting as well, Madison. I have real recently recognized budgeting not as much as discipline within like physical financial parameters, as much as that at its essence, budgeting is just knowing where your money's going. And most people don't know where their money's going. They're like, it's kind of like, they just have a little bit of vagueness around every penny. They don't know where every penny's going. And once you have to track and know where it's going before you can take any kind of control of making changes.
Absolutely. That awareness is so important. And credit cards have taken away that natural connection to money. And well, credit cards was the first phase, and the next phase, which is my favorite, is one-click online ordering of things. And so by this point, we're absolutely disconnected from how much we actually spend on things and what that means. We don't have an attachment to that value of money like we used to. And so there's there's some great sort of one-on-one budgeting coaches out there. And one of the first things that they'll say with a client is start paying cash for everything you can, because that brings back the connection to the value of your money. When you physically have to pay cash, and every time you want to buy something, you actually you have to hand over your cash, and you watch that way. It brings this awareness to expenses and spending and what you're sacrificing for whatever you're buying right then, that most of us have lost in the internet age and in the credit card age. And so you're absolutely right. By losing that awareness, we lose control of it. And we're left playing a catch-up game, and that becomes extremely stressful. Households, people, like back to the divorce topic, people feel totally out of control. They have no control over where the financial lives are heading, and that causes like an insane amount of stress in relationships, on physical health. Like there's a direct tie to financial health and physical health. The more stressed out you are about finances, like your physical health can take a hit on that as well. Totally. So bringing that, and that's where we originally came up with the term of financial wellness, is because these all are important keystone habits, and they all do lead to wellness overall of your lifestyle. So if you're falling behind on your bills or letting debt just kind of
creep up, and it can creep so slowly. You don't even really notice it's happening. And then 3 years go by and you have $25,000 of unsecured credit card debt, and you don't really remember how you got there. Mm-hmm. And most people, their income is pretty well defined. And it's just like, well, how do I get out of this? And it seems completely insurmountable. Thankfully, the kind of work that I do, the income is pretty dynamic. I feel like sometimes if I get behind, it happens to me too. My lifestyle kind of gets a little out of hand, or we load up on Christmas or summer camps or these kind of things that we don't,
all of us,
it happens to all of us. And, but sometimes I have the feeling of like, well, I'll just buckle down at work and try to make more money. I'll try to earn my way out of this instead of save my way out of this.
Right.
And not many people have that ability, and I can't imagine how stressful that would be to just be like, well, I make 75 grand a year and this is just how it is. And I can't work harder the only thing they can think of would be like to do gig economy stuff on the weekends, to drive for Uber on the weekends or take a second job. That's the reality.
Yeah. It's very stressful. And the good news is that oftentimes there are tools and there can be solutions. There's generally not a magic wand solution. That doesn't exist. But there are a lot of things, different behaviors, different disciplines. There are some apps that are good. There can be professional services that are really good. Mm-hmm. And if the stress is important enough and resolving that and reducing that stress is important enough, like you can change certain things and find the right tools where an insurmountable situation turns into something that's manageable. And once you start seeing signs of progress, then it starts going in the positive direction. And as you make more positive changes, it can accelerate and you can pay down the debt faster. And there are lots of stories out there of all kinds of people, professionals or daily wage earners or whatever, struggling with debt that finally sort of changed their outlook on it and got the right resources. And, it'll take a couple of years, but they paid down and they got out of debt. And there are a lot of real success stories out there. But
it's a mental thing, kind of like just like getting fit. If you're just, if you've ignored your physical health and then one day you look in the mirror and you're like, man, how did I get here? You find your breaking point and you have to start changing your mind and you have to start putting in the work every day. And again, this is one of the beautiful things about owning real estate. Because plenty of people own homes and then find themselves in these debt problems and these day-to-day financial problems. And like I said, that person who is on a fixed income, I'm a college professor and this is what I make, or I'm a, law enforcement person. This is what I make. And it creeps. I get like $1,000 a year more every year, cost of living or whatever, but there's no real other things I can do to make more money. But if you own a house and that property is appreciating, that is something. And if you've been investing and that money is appreciating, that just gives you more options for restructuring things in the future. If you do find yourself, man, I have $25,000 worth of debt and I just can't make any headway on a $50,000 student loan. And I'm going to be paying this for the rest of my life. Having the opportunity to restructure your mortgage debt, to swap out unsecured debt for secured mortgage debt can oftentimes be just a huge game changer. And so I think that just to kind of tie it back into equity acceleration, this isn't just about getting out of debt. And this is really just about having the right mindset, the tools, and the team around you have resources to make the right decisions in life around your finances. And it's not just, you might have a financial advisor and they're making decisions and recommendations about which funds and which fund managers are going to give you the most, how to diversify your 401k and how much money to point towards it every month, and some life insurance stuff. But they're not going to help you make a budget. They're not scaled up to have these kinds of real street level financial conversations. But I love that your team is up to that, and that we're able to loop that into our clients, because we've always preached that working with us is not just a transaction, it's a relationship. And getting a mortgage with us is not the end of the relationship, it's the beginning of the relationship. And we're here to help you make these decisions over time. And that's why people should, that's the main reason why people should work with us, in my opinion. It's because the mortgage, kind of all things being equal, who's going to help you pay your mortgage off once you get it? Who's going to help you decide when to refinance and when not to refinance? I think a lot of people refinance when they shouldn't, and I think they don't refinance when they should, and that's a huge blunder that people do. And in both cases, they think they've made the right decision, and they didn't realize how much money has been lost.
Yeah, I get, and that reinforces the importance of having the right sort of advice and the right team and the right tools and resources around you. And I think one of the most important functions that we provide at Financial Wellness Team is simply screening through all of the available, in some cases it's resources, and in some cases it's just trash. But there's so much noise out there. With the internet, obviously, especially, there's unlimited sources of noise out there.
It's infinity.
It is. And there are really great resources out there for somebody that just wants to get a bit more control over their personal finances, that just wants to be healthy financially. All the right tools are out there, but oftentimes they're buried in all of the noise. There's way more noise out there. But there are good blogs, there are good books, there are good apps, there are good coaches, there are good professional services, there are good memberships. They're all out there.
But all of the good ones, you've vetted them. It's part of being in your system, is that you've curated through all of the noise and said these ones work, and this one, and not just these work, not these 30 things, but these 3 things out of these 30 will apply to you in this particular situation.
Yeah,
right?
It's what's appropriate for where you are currently in your sort of your financial wellness mentality. And the mentality, again, is an important word. So just as a quick example, there are a number of pretty robust budgeting apps out there. But another thing that you'll find in the budgeting coaching space is that a lot of budget coaches recommend not using these apps when you start to budget. And it seems counterintuitive at first, because these apps they connect with your credit card statements and your bank and all your automated payments, and they organize everything so no bills ever get paid late, and they have nice graphs and charts and reports and everything. So it seems like a great resource. But there will be recommendations if you're starting budgeting and you don't have the budgeting mentality and the discipline yet. These apps can actually be bad for you, because the whole purpose of starting to budget is you yourself developing the discipline and having your hands on it and having the awareness of money. And a lot of these apps sort of automate that and take all of that out of your hands, so you never actually develop the right budgeting mentality. Now you've just got another robot doing stuff that you still don't understand.
That you're paying $200 a year for.
That you're paying $200 a year for. And so it's the right tool for the right situation. And
so Madison, is the Financial Wellness Team, is it software? Is it curation of different advice? Like, is it coaching? What is the Financial Wellness Team comprised of?
So there's a little bit of software, particularly around your credit. We can get back to credit in a minute, but credit is a bedrock habit and an awareness and a tool that everybody needs. A lot of the financial wellness program is through people and just through a simple plan. And so when someone wants to come over to the financial wellness team, there'll be an initial consultation, and it'll be exploring their basic household financial situation, hearing about what are their basic goals, what are their bigger dreams, and sort of gauging where they are. Again, we talked about health, we talk about mentality. Like, where are they with managing their finances and with their financial health, and what's their level of interest? Are they ready to spend 4 hours a day improving this, or are they just starting to explore this? We'll pull a credit report so we can talk through them with their credit and actually look at least from the credit bureau's perspective, what's being reflected about their financial position, and immediately start to answer some basic questions and clarify some things there. We'll look at their debt, especially we always focus on unhealthy debt. And so that's the kind of unsecured debt, credit cards, personal loans, that kind of thing that can really spiral out of control. And so we'll start looking at that. We'll get a little more information. And then we have a team of analysts that will take that information and they create a simple 1 or 2 page financial health plan. And it's based on the information that we gathered in that call. And then it's using and making recommendations and providing links and for all of these different curated resources. So we have a team that's always looking at reviewing the new apps that come out and watching how credit bureau policies change and all of these things. And so then the client receives a simple plan with these recommendations based on their situation, like what would be appropriate right now. And it's not overwhelming because, again, it's got to be practical, it's got to be feasible. And then there's another sort of session with an advisor to go through the plan and just clarify what's in there and answer questions, clarify the links, or if like books. Sometimes we like to recommend books, which seems kind of crazy, it doesn't seem like a valuable thing, like you told me to read a book. But in some cases, the right situation, there's some really great appropriate books that can read the book and your mentality changes. And it's
can you think of a book right now that's kind of like your most recommended book at Financial Wellness Team?
A classic is Your Money or Your Life.
Yeah.
I think everybody should read that, regardless of whether you're rich or poor or whatever. It doesn't matter. Right. Read Your Money or Your Life.
It's really good.
Good one.
Any other hacks, Madison, around, you guys get to see this all the time around credit management or budgeting, other things that are sort of like shortcuts or tools into affecting change in credit and budgeting?
So there are fewer hacks with budgeting. Budgeting is getting in touch with your inner soul and agreeing with yourself that you're just going to be disciplined and you're going to be doing it. And once you do it, it's actually not that terrible at all.
That's a great hack, actually, if you think about it. Like, some people are trying to solve the problem of budgeting through learning stuff, but if it's not right in your soul, you're going to resist all the things you're reading and consuming about budgeting. So that's a great hack.
That's true. Yeah, that's good. The idea of it being a much more internal process and an internal game than an external game. That's big.
And coaches, budgeting coaches can be really powerful for that in helping you sort of access that and channel the right mentality. There's no secret tool or secret app that's just going to fix that for you.
Yeah. Well, Chris, let me jump in here. I kind of want to wrap this in a bow as well, because now that we've kind of gotten a feel for all that comes along with, when a client comes and talks to me and I feel like it's a good fit, or it's someone who I've kind of just lost touch with, this is a good opportunity for me to say, hey, you know what? We were talking about buying a house, kind of went dark on me. I'm going to refer you into the financial wellness team and just have them pick up the mantle, engage with you. I'll send this person an email and hopefully engage them from a different angle than just buying a house. Cause maybe they have a credit concern, or maybe they have employment or some other concern that wasn't uncovered in our initial, interaction. But we're really looking to leverage this service for everyone we talk to. And if you're a real estate agent and you're listening to this and you are looking for something, or imagine having this as a service that you're dropping everybody into. And by partnering with us as your, financial lender, your finance team backing you and supporting your real estate business, let's say you do an open house every weekend and you pick up 20 or 30 names and numbers. No one, only a couple people call you back. You left them messages. You don't really know what to do with these people, but you remember them. They walked into the house. They seemed excited. They seemed engaged, and you want to follow up with them with something valuable. Or even if it's just a neighbor who's like, I'm not buying a house, and you want to engage with them in a valuable way. By partnering with us, we'll put, hey, let me offer you access to the financial wellness team. Is something all my clients get access to. Helps you with the budgeting, credit management, credit. It's not just credit monitoring. It's actual, you have a person you can call and get questions answered and have a resource around, just day-to-day personal finance. Is that something that sounds interesting to you? This is a way to engage with that person and be sticky. It's designed to be something that is valuable for people for years. And that when it comes time for them to, hey, we actually are starting to think about buying a house, we can loop back in, and it's an incubation system for real estate and on some level as well, right?
It really is. It's a very practical, high value for all of us that are consumers. And it's applicable regardless of where you might be in the real estate process, or whether, like you said, whether you're thinking of it at all.
Right.
It can benefit everybody. Like, you want to have the best financial health possible. And so it's a way to engage everybody with real value. And like you said, the word sticky is good. It is sticky because it can be an ongoing thing, and really, really keep a very positive engagement going.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I've referred 9 or 10 people in the last 2 days, or this week. I've really kind of I've got a protocol for pushing people into the financial wellness team with a couple clicks, and they've been following up. And so I can think of one person I referred in who's going to be buying a $900,000 house with 30% down. They make a grip of money. And I've thought of another person I referred to who's like 20 years old and is trying to buy his first house, and he doesn't want to pay over 200 grand. So, I mean, those are two ends of the financial spectrum. And I think they will get value in different ways, but they'll both get a lot of value from this.
It's really good.
Absolutely.
Well, Madison, if people want to kind of explore more about the details of it, I would imagine you have a website that you could point people to.
Yeah, absolutely. Financialwellness.team.
Perfect. Financialwellness.team. Love it.
Cool.
Good stuff, Madison. Thank you for being on the show. James, good stuff. I love how you keep finding ways to support your partners, whether it's financial planners or mortgage people, real estate people, and bringing tools. I just think that's so much value added. So I love that we actually get to meet the people that you partner with to make it all easier.
Thanks, man. Well, Madison, thanks for your time.
We'll see you next time. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Take care now.
James, until next time. See ya.
All right. See you, Chris.